Let me begin by taking up Dan's challenge in a couple of ways. Let's look at a scientific law for a moment. The distinction that he makes between descriptive and prescriptive is entirely true, but equally entirely irrelevant. Consider a scientific law. The speed of light is 186,000 miles a second in a vacuum. Now, ask yourself this question. In what sense is this a law? Did some legislature pass it? Of course not. So how do we know it's true? Well, we measure the speed of light. You measure it 1 time, 2 times, 10 times, 1,000,000 times. Who cares? It was the skeptical philosopher David Hume 200 years ago who pointed out that you can measure the speed of light until the cows come home. You don't know that as a general proposition, in other words, as a necessary truth, that light always and everywhere travels at that speed. Consider a star 5 light years away. How do we know that light over there travels at that speed c? Have we been there? Have we measured it? No. We're guessing that because it travels at that speed over here, it must also travel at that speed over there. What entitles us to guess? What entitles us to guess is the belief that the universe is inherently orderly, that there isn't a certain kind of randomness that says light can travel at one speed over here, another speed over there. Hidden in science. Science is standing on a metaphysical mountain that the physicist James Strefel called the principle of universality. If it happens over here, we're kind of guessing it happens everywhere. This concept of universality came out of the idea of the orderly cosmos. Now, the pre-Socratics kind of had the idea, but nobody paid any attention to them. It was Christianity with this idea of a rational God that brought this idea into the West. And that's why science developed in the West. Ask yourself why science didn't develop in every other culture. I want to now talk for a moment about morality. Interestingly, I occasionally watch the Nature Channel, and I see Darwinian morality. A gorilla walks into the lair of another gorilla, stupefies him with blows, and this is what we call the Nature Channel. This kind of behavior, selfish, genetically megalomaniacal, having no regard for others. Actually, this is a gorilla who apparently has not encountered Dan's do no harm principle. So obviously what we have here is Darwinian morality, and with humans we have an ontological leap, a radical difference. In other words, everything in the universe follows one principle, right? The stone has no choice but to roll down the hill. The cheetah has no choice but to run after the antelope. But we human beings inhabit 2 domains. The domain of the way things are, and a second domain that seems unique, the domain of the way things ought to be. What I'm asking is, from a Darwinian point of view, where does this second domain come from?